Hyundai, their main location in Georgia, was just raided by ICE.
Dale, muchacho, vamos a salir de ahí para evitar problemas. Vámonos.
And they're reporting upwards of 475 employees detained, including over 400 South Korean nationals. Hyundai is a South Korean company. It also halted construction nearby of an EV battery facility that South Korea was investing in as part of all the deals they're trying to make with the Trump administration to avoid all of the tariff bullshit he's trying to apply to South Korea.
Yo, I just saw a video. This lady sitting here admitting to calling ICE on the workers in that Georgia plant, the Korean workers. Bro, once all the research is done and all that on how much money was lost from doing that, all future international business in that part of Georgia, really any part of the South similar to that. For reference, anybody who's been in the South knows you have one or two big cities in the place and the rest of it is just straight desolate land. It's over, bro. They messed up all future business. All the fast food places that were built and created jobs for people in the area, Dollar Generals, grocery stores. It's over. And these people think they're going to get the jobs in those plants. You think they invested $21 billion to give you, a dirty American citizen, those jobs? Bro, it's over. Y'all dumb as hell, man. You stupid, dumb.
Boy. So we got to follow up on our coverage of the viral Hyundai manufacturing plant ICE raid in Southeast Georgia that has shocked the mainstream liberal media and the Democrats, right, who are mad about this, okay? Yes, liberals are upset about the ICE raid at the Hyundai manufacturing plant. In fact, they're lashing out against the whistleblower who allegedly tipped off the FBI to all of the illegals, a lot of whom happen to be South Korean. And I think that's one of the reasons why this story has gone so viral, is because we don't have the typical illegals from the global South involved. No, we have South Korea. We have sophisticated illegals, right? We got sophisticated ones that we're dealing with here, okay? So, again, liberals, they're really upset by this. And, again, they're lashing out at the whistleblower for assisting ICE and DHS identifying that this is a big problem. Take a look.
So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE. But it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked. They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have hardly anything left. They live in homes 5 families deep, have no quality of life. It's modern day slavery. So if you think that ICE is just going in and ripping people out of their jobs, these hardworking people that want a better life, well, guess what? Politicians have really screwed these people, because when they came here, they thought they were, hey, the border's open, we're coming in, we're going to get the 5-star treatment, and we can go to the big Walmart, and we can live in a 5-star hotel, and that's just not how it is. It's very bad conditions, very inhumane, and the Biden administration started a humanitarian crisis. So y'all can't just look at it like they're ripping good people off the job. They're probably saving their lives.
So I'm sure many of you guys have seen this video of this lady named Tori Branham saying that she was the one that called ICE on the Hyundai manufacturing plant near Savannah, Georgia, where they're constructing a facility that they're going to build electric vehicle batteries, etc., right? Where ICE claims they conducted their largest worksite raid in history, approximately 475 people. She says that she's the one that called them because there were so many labor law violations, that people were being worked like slaves, all that stuff. Those were her words, right? Well, guess what? She's running for Congress in Georgia. Tory Branham for Congress. And that leads me to believe that none of what she said in that video is true. You know why? She is most likely just trying to score points with whatever her base is in whatever area of Georgia she lives, whatever MAGA county she's from, so that when she runs for office, everyone knows her as, oh yeah, that lady from TikTok that called ICE on all those South Korean illegals. Yeah, let's vote for her. She's a hardliner on immigration, just like our daddy Trump, so let's vote for her. Do you guys want to know how much South Korea is investing into the United States in the coming years with factories like this, for Hyundai, for companies like LG, etc.? $350 billion. Now imagine, they're investing into this manufacturing plant near Savannah, Georgia, in the deep south, where places like this are absolutely necessary. People need jobs, good paying jobs with benefits. There needs to be industry, more, investment into the local economy. And then ICE goes ahead and does this. Oh my God, bro. Now, mind you, the South Korean government already made a statement where they said the economic activities of our investment companies and the rights and interests of our citizens must not be unjustly violated during U.S. law enforcement proceedings.
Now, DHS says that they received the tip from local residents who turned in Hyundai Motors and contractors for illegal hiring practices and discriminations after they were refused jobs in favor of South Koreans. I can tell you exactly where these DHS tips came from. Disgruntled, racist white men in the South. Having been raised in the South and currently living in Georgia, I promise you that somebody who thought they were going to be employed by Hyundai Motors didn't get a job and then began to tip bomb DHS, and probably not one, but multiple persons. See, they're telling these people that they can go get a job working for these automotive companies, but what they're not telling them is they need more than a high school diploma, and they need some sort of technical knowledge. And when they don't have those, it requires companies like Hyundai Motors and their contractors to import or allow people to immigrate temporarily as technical labor to the United States. And when people in podunk little towns in the South don't get the jobs they feel like they deserve because they're white men or white women, they call DHS. And when you have a president in place like Trump that has draconian immigration policies, they're emboldened to do so.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, I'm not sure exactly what world do liberals live in where they think that it's okay for a company, just because they're building a factory here in the United States of America, to then hire their own people illegally. Right? Even if they're doing it, again, to get around the tariffs or whatever, right? The whole point of having you open your factory up in the United States of America is so that you can hire Americans, right? That's the whole point, right? We want you to hire people here, okay? Just like if an American company opened up a factory in South Korea, do you think that the South Korean government would want them to be hiring Americans in South Korea, or do you think they'd be hiring South Koreans, right? Like, if you open up a factory in the United States of America, then, again, people at the very least expect for you to hire Americans, right? That's the whole point. If you're not hiring Americans and you're hiring your own people, right, and you're bringing them from overseas and they're coming in here illegally to undercut the wages of the American people while at the same time, again, not even giving them a job. That's a big issue, right? And I know that liberals will say, well, it's the residual jobs. Who cares if they illegally hire their own people? Think about the McDonald's. Think about all of these shopping outlets. Think about all of the fast food restaurants, the apartments, the services that won't happen because of the lack of foreign investment. And it's like, well, listen, in the ideal world, we get all the jobs, right? In the ideal world, they hire Americans, okay? Or at the very least, they hire people legally. If they're going to be immigrants, at least make it all legal, right? Which in this case, all of them were not legal, okay? Otherwise, this would not have happened, right? I mean, they arrested 475 people for a reason. A lot of them weren't legal, okay? So again, at the very least, you should hire people who are American citizens, or again, if you're going to have immigrant labor, it needs to be 100% legal. yeah, we want all the jobs. We don't just want the residual jobs, right? We want all the jobs. We want the main jobs, the good paying jobs. You know, the $100,000+ a year manufacturing jobs that are associated with these plants. Yeah, we want those jobs to go to Americans, right? That's what we want. We don't just want the minimum wage jobs where Americans basically work on behalf of immigrant and foreign labor who come over here and they're now making six-figure salaries, and oh yeah, well, we're gonna have Americans work for them, right? No, we want the good jobs. We want the high quality jobs. And I'm not entirely sure what's so controversial about that. Okay, what's so controversial about that? Americans need to be trained up to do these jobs. If they're not Americans that can do the jobs, then we need to train them up to do the jobs. Okay, I'm sick and tired of people disrespecting the American worker, pretending as if we don't have the ability to do anything for ourselves, right? We can't pick our own cotton, right? When it comes to unskilled labor, Americans can't pick their own cotton, right? When it comes to skilled labor, Americans don't have the skills to work in these manufacturing plants. Okay, so what can Americans do? What can we do? Apparently, liberals don't believe we can do anything, right? They don't believe in the American workforce at all. And it's like, no, I believe that Americans can do these jobs, whether you're talking about, again, the unskilled labor or the specialized labor, high skilled labor. Americans can do the jobs, okay? Period. And we need Americans in these jobs. So with that being said, again, the South Korean president is responding to the Hyundai plant ICE raid. So without further ado, let's get into it.
A Georgia Hyundai plant described a chaotic scene after an immigration raid at the facility. Federal authorities say Thursday's raid was the result of a months-long investigation by several agencies. The crackdown, the largest so far on U.S. work sites, led to 475 arrests of mostly Korean nationals. Some of the workers tried to flee as word of the raid spread. CNN's Rafael Roma is covering the story. What more are you learning of what was really a chaotic scene?
It was difficult to find out details about what actually transpired the first couple of days, but now we're hearing from people and officials exactly what happened. And one of the things that we have learned, some of the details that we have learned, Fred, after the massive raid conducted Thursday, include that officers spoke with each worker one by one to determine which were in the U.S. legally and allowing some to leave while taking undocumented immigrants into custody. By the time they were done at 8 p.m. on Thursday, agents had arrested 475 people, most of them Korean nationals, making it the largest sweep yet in the current Trump administration's immigration crackdown at American job sites. CNN obtained a video that shows a Homeland Security Investigations agent telling workers to cease operations immediately. Let's take a look.
We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now.
And shortly after the agents arrived at the plant and workers realized what was happening after word spread across the property, chaos ensued with many workers attempting to flee and some even running into a sewage pond and others hiding in air ducts.
Now, again, why would they be doing all this? Again, because they're here illegally, right? If you're here legally, if you're confident that, hey, I have the right to be here, I'm good, you ain't got nothing to worry about, right? Even if they question you, even if they detain you, ultimately you're going to be fine. You only flee like this when you're here illegally, right? When you're doing something wrong, okay? When you don't want to be deported to Uganda, right? That's what's going on here.
A Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent described how agents screened each person suspected of being in the country illegally.
Some that illegally crossed the border into the United States, some that came in through visa waiver and were prohibited from working, some that had visas and overstayed their visas. And each individual was questioned on their status, their documents were checked, their backgrounds were checked.
In a statement sent to CNN last night, Hyundai said the following regarding the immigration raid in Georgia. We are reviewing our processes to ensure that all parties working on our projects maintain the same high standards of legal compliance that we demand of ourselves. This includes thorough vetting of employment practices by contractors and subcontractors. The company also said that Hyundai has zero tolerance for those who don't follow the law. In an interview with CNN, former Deputy Homeland Security Secretary under President Trump, Ken Cuccinelli, said conducting this type of raid is a major undertaking.
There's a lot of work that goes into an operation of this scale and of this depth, including investigation by multiple agencies. Obviously, it takes a lot of investigative manpower, and that's all going on in parallel with a whole bunch of other investigations across the country.
The plant that was targeted was built after Hyundai announced an agreement with the state of Georgia in 2022 to build what the company called at the time the first dedicated, fully electrified vehicle and battery manufacturing facilities in the United States. The plant was projected to employ 8,500 people once completed, but as you heard a moment ago, they were ordered to stop all work.
So this delays operations.
For sure.
All right, Rafael Romo, thanks so much. Good to see you. All right, the massive ICE raid prompted a sharp response from the South Korean president. CNN's Mike Valerio is in Seoul with more on the reaction there.
Well, the headline from here is certainly that South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung is getting involved in this matter, telling his officials that, quote, all out necessary measures should be done to support Korean nationals in this matter and to resolve it as fast as possible. Now, the split screen from where he was just about 10 days ago is certainly dramatic, considering that he was at the Oval Office meeting with President Trump, talking about new investments that South Korea would make into a reality, making American shipbuilding again, improving investments in manufacturing in the United States. This battery factory, run by Hyundai as a joint venture with the other South Korean giant, LG, is certainly part of that narrative. And now...
Yeah, and that's great. That's awesome. I'm happy that they're doing that. I love that. But you got to hire Americans. You got to hire people legally, right? You can't just be like, hey, well, we're going to build factories in the United States of America, but we're going to hire our people, right? We're going to hire our people, okay? Nah. That's not how it works. Again, it defeats the purpose. It defeats the purpose. The purpose is for you to hire Americans, to provide Americans with good, quality, high-paying jobs. That is what the purpose is. And if you're not doing that, then, again, the investment doesn't mean as much. It doesn't mean as much. We didn't agree to this for you to go hire your own folks and hire illegals. No, we did this for the American people. And we need all of the benefits to go to the American people.
To see this operation, the biggest of its kind taken in the second Trump administration, it is so striking and has hit such an emotional chord with a multitude of people here in South Korea. Quite astounded that not just one or two or a few dozen South Koreans have been detained as part of this operation, but more than 300, a number confirmed by South Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs today. Along those lines, the Minister of Foreign Affairs has said that if this situation isn't resolved, he could conceivably go to Washington, D.C., saying in part, quote, as we discuss this issue further today, we are also considering dispatching a high-level official to the U.S. to address the situation. If necessary, I, meaning the foreign minister, am prepared to travel to Washington, D.C., personally to engage directly with U.S. officials to resolve this matter.
Yeah, this is full-blown panic right here, right? This is full-blown panic, okay? That is what happens when you get caught, right? You get caught in the scheme, in the scam, right? When you talk about, oh, yeah, we're gonna invest in America, but we're going to hire our own people. It's like, nah, that's not how it works, right? So, yeah, I mean, look, clearly they take this seriously. It should be taken seriously. Because this is not acceptable in our country. You have to respect our laws, and you have to uphold your end of the bargain when it comes to, investing in the United States of America, which means hiring Americans. And also on top of that, I mean, listen, at some point we have to start punishing these companies for hiring illegals, right? Because again, if companies didn't hire illegals, if they didn't hire under the table, then that's less incentive for illegals to come here, right? It's less incentive. But as long as companies are willing to hire these people, then yeah, you're going to have people come over here because they know that, hey, I'm going to get hired. I'm going to be able to get a job. And this is why the crackdown has to extend to business owners as well, too. People who employ illegals. There will be zero tolerance for it. So, again, I personally would like to see businesses held accountable as well as the illegals who come into the country. And I think that once you start doing that, you're going to see a lot of this go away, right? But liberals right now, they're upset, they're mad, because of the fact that they see this as us ruining our relationship with South Korea. But we're not ruining the relationship. We're just making sure that they're upholding their end of the bargain, which means they have to hire Americans, right? If you invest here in America, you need to hire Americans. That is the point. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.